Good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. I do hope your day is going well. Already 75 as we wait for high. Did you hear that? 99?
Man, it's going to be another one of those breakers.
Look at that number right there.
111.
111. Yeah, that's.
If y'all know me and y'all know how I sneeze, it's like a machine gun, and that like to took us all out.
111 on the heat index today. So be prepared for that strong in Mississippi. Even when you get to Jackson, west back toward Vicksburg, we're expecting 115 to 120 on the heat index side. So if you've got to travel west, make sure your air conditioner's working. Those guys are working hard. Can you imagine having to go in an attic right now for a living?
There's no way. It's 180 up in there right now.
Midnight would have to be the air conditioner guy.
And it's still tough.
It is.
Got to, and y'all pay attention to your sweat. And are you sweating regular? If you start to sweat profusely, you're starting to get into a little danger area. If you stop sweating, then you've already hit danger. But you've got to stay hydrated.
And if your wife is questioning you, don't sweat at all. Just act like everything's cool.
That's right.
What was that old Eddie Raven song, Who Do You Know in California? Yeah. And what's she doing calling here?
I was thinking about that other one. Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. Big news tonight as this happened around 9:30 last night. Small town, Whynot, Mississippi. Not a lot goes on there, but a robbery has occurred. As we go there, we broke the news last night. We get an update from Chief Deputy Ward Calhoun this morning. They responded there around 9:35, where it was reported that a black male had entered the store. The suspect, he was wearing jeans, a black hoodie, and a black mask. He demanded cash, and the clerk said, I ain't giving it to you. Then he whipped out a gun. That changed the situation. Suspect then left the building. Didn't have a vehicle, from what we understand. He left on foot. They called 911. If you have any information, please contact authorities to let them know. But a robbery in the small town of Whynot, that's just, it's a town that everybody knows everyone.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's moving farther out into the county.
Each time.
It's something we've got to bring to a halt one way or another.
So if you happen to be driving down the road last night, noticed it was still 95 degrees and somebody wearing a hoodie, might be a good time to call police today and go, this is where I saw them, so they can report it, and we'll take care of things.
Ding, ding, ding. Hoodies in this weather, it's not a thing.
My house.
Yeah, sure is. We'll talk to Ben here in just a second and find out a little bit more about that. That Whynot area, we don't need that happening. Now, a few other things that kind of bounced around yesterday. An overall kind of a calm day throughout the area. Nothing just horrible went on. Boy, that is good news to report. We like that. We had some fender benders. This is always, Jan, I need you out there directing traffic. I don't know if you're up this morning. But constantly a little fender bender going on right here next to Hardee's there at the intersection. This was one of those situations where a car, I think it was a rear end kind of type deal. No major damage from what I could tell when I arrived on the scene, and I took a picture from afar. It wasn't worth getting chased by cars there, Odie.
No, zoom lens will help every now and then.
It sure would. And there's a different angle of that there from there. No big deals on that. Now, something that slowed traffic down if you were trying to get up Highway 39 yesterday. You're going up, there's EMEPA, Johnson Toyota, and you're going, why is everything stopped? This was the reason, as we had a power line down. A truck, I think, caught a wire, tore it down, and police were on the scene and had to block it off there. Hour and a half, somewhere along in there. And you don't realize how much that road is used till you can't go down it.
That's every road. You stop traffic for a little while, and it doesn't take long to back all the way up.
Yeah.
And that's a busy road.
As Tammy says, Edinburgh, I had that story also. The Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, was robbed Sunday night there, and they have caught him.
That's what I'm talking about. catch them and take them in. My family is from Edinburgh.
Nice little town there.
Yeah.
You got the old bank, and then I think it's a Chevron. And I went to a wedding, if you hang, and I don't remember the name of it. You take a right there past the gas station and go quite a few miles out, and there was a little church venue, wedding chapel type thing. And it was neat.
They got the Barrett Cemetery.
They sure do. Got a lot of people up there.
Yeah.
Lauderdale County.
Pharmacy now.
What's that now?
The old bank's a pharmacy.
Is that what it is?
That's right.
I didn't know that. It's been there on Highway 16. If y'all are going through there, pharmacy. Now,
Look at there.
Lauderdale County authorities are asking for help on this. And I know I've read the different comments on this, but still, if you have to break a fence to get in to do something, you're not doing something right. As we go to the West Lauderdale area, the barn, the county work barn where they dump trash, we had someone kind of cut the lock and back in and drop off their trash. You break the law when you cut a fence and go in.
You know, that's still breaking and entering.
This is the meeting before we decided to cut the lock.
All right, which one of y'all's going to cut it?
Who brought the lock cutters?
I mean, they brought the whole neighborhood.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 cars involved in that.
So somebody saw something, but
Yeah.
whether you agree with the way that they're doing trash or you don't, that's beside the point. If you don't like the way it's done, then go to a board meeting and talk to them about it. But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, that's the way it's set up. That's the way it's going to be. And we've got to play by their rules. And that was not playing by their rules. That was not just breaking the rules, but breaking the law.
Yep.
So, hey, if you know who these guys are, or if you are one of these guys, turn yourself in, get this over with. And if you want to make a change,
Do so.
do it the right way.
All right, coming up next, we're going to speak with Ben Shirley. He's running for House District 81. We'll be right around. We got some questions for him as he gets ready for Tuesday. It's right around the corner. Y'all stay with us.
I'm Ricky Roberts, and I'm asking you to elect me Sheriff of Lauderdale County. August 8th is here, and your voice will be heard. Chris Reed will be Chief Deputy of our Sheriff's Department.
We've reached a critical point in our community. We have experience and resources, and it's time for new leadership. I'm committed to making our community safer with Ricky Roberts. We will build a department you will have confidence in, but we need you. By working together, we can accomplish this.
On August 8th, vote for change we all deserve because our future is at stake. Vote Ricky Roberts Sheriff.
Rock House Gun and Pawn is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Lots of different calibers and brands to choose from when it comes to hunting rifles. Whether you're looking for a new pump shotgun or an AR, the Rock House will have the gun that you need. With a huge selection of ammunition for just about any caliber that you may be looking for. Pistols, scopes, and a whole lot more. Plus a private lobby for your confidentiality when it comes to your pawns. Rock House Gun and Pawn, located at 5430 Highway 19 North Meridian. Interstate Auto, conveniently located on North Frontage Road in Meridian, right down from IHOP, has a large selection of late model cars and trucks just waiting on you. You may be in the market for an SUV or a family sedan to fit all the kids in. And a huge selection of trucks, whether it's a Ford, a GMC, a Chevrolet, a Dodge Ram that you're looking for, or an economical Toyota truck. Inventory changes daily at Interstate Auto. From a minivan to a sporty four-door sedan, Interstate Auto has what you need, North Frontage Road, Meridian.
I'm Nick Lacey, and I'm running for Justice Court Judge of District 1. My family is directly affected by the rampant crime in our community on a regular basis. Our businesses have been vandalized, robbed, and even shut down due to safety concerns from our customers and our employees. As a business owner, I'm often faced with making hard decisions. And if you look at Lauderdale County as a business, it's time for us to make those decisions before we go under. We need people in office who are invested in Lauderdale County, people who aren't in it for the paycheck or the retirement, people who want to work together to find the solutions to the problems that plague our county. On August 8th, remember, vote Republican, vote Nick Lacey.
And welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, and this is Odie as we all start a new fresh day.
And it's Thursday. Friday's next. We did some checking while we were at commercial break. Everything on our end on YouTube is working. Everything on Facebook is working. I'm hoping that nobody else is having trouble. But we did
Check your
that.
dates. Check your dates on that when it pops up there.
Make sure that it is on there. But everything is working good.
All right. We got Election Day coming up, and it's going to be a big time. We'll be downtown Meridian bringing you the numbers as they start to roll in next Tuesday night. Odie's going to be with me. Ben Shirley is one of those who is running for office. And Ben, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you with us.
Appreciate y'all having me.
I have to ask this. District 81, House District 81. What areas, because you get so confused as to, okay, I got to go vote, but who is in that? Who votes for you?
Well, let's just start at the Alabama line.
Okay.
So Whynot, if you spoke of earlier, having
Right.
a robbery. You got Collinsville, Vinville, Snell, and Energy in Clark County.
So that
you got-
northeastern corner of Clark's in it.
That's right. Then you've got Toonsuba, Russell. You got Clarkdale. You got Savoy, Lost Gap, Meehan, Nellyburg, Sickalina, Chunky, Hickory, about 75% of the city of Newton, and up to the Country Club on 503 toward Decatur.
So, and you know all this because you've been, hey, I'm Ben. Can I talk to you for a minute? You've been out and about.
Absolutely, we've been out and about. It's a big area, it's a big district.
Everybody's been doing the big jokes of who's got a farmer stand. It's
That's
those
right.
guys that's been putting them signs in, and
Absolutely.
it is a lot to this, and I'm sure you've met a lot of people along the way on
Oh,
this.
yeah. And while
Absolutely.
you're out and about, what is maybe the main question or two of the main concerns that you run across as you go and visit these voters?
Well, economy and crime is at the forefront, naturally, of what we've got going on in this area, and that's in Newton and Meridian.
Yeah.
I got part of the city of Meridian too. Comes up to Russell Drive there on 39. So, but that has pretty much been the crime and economic development
Of new business coming to our area.
That's right. And I've been working on something for quite a while. To move to the airport, that they're looking to, gain some space there to do some things. But as far as the economy goes, here's what I'll say about that: we need to be on the same page in this district. We need to be like Columbus, the Golden Triangle,
Right.
down on the coast. Even DeSoto County in North Mississippi, they have one person more or less that handles several counties, and they don't care what county it goes in. Okay, it's for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who got credit or it went to John Henry's property or whoever. And so that's what we need here. Because look, we've got 3 railroads. Since I don't know if y'all familiar, but Canadian Rail bought out. We can actually go to the river from Meridian now.
Wow.
So we have 3 railroads. We got US 45, 4-lane. We've got the longest public runway in the state of Mississippi.
Right there at the airport.
Yeah.
That's correct. And we've got 2 interstates.
That just says we can do more.
Look, the coast doesn't have that. I mean, they've got 10.
But tell
DeSoto
me this,
County's
Ben,
got,
because
55 north.
I get asked this a lot. And Odie, I'm sure you too. We sit back and we watch other places like the Golden Triangle. But you get into the Tupelo area, all these jobs are. What was the place that went in up there? $91,000 average pay.
That was the aluminum plant. That was in Golden Triangle, Columbus.
Why is it
1,000 jobs, I think is what it was.
at $91,000 a piece? Imagine what that's going to do for the
Legislature
economy.
gives several $1 million.
Yeah, what do we do? What are we doing wrong in your opinion? What do we got to do to get that to come here?
Well, I think it's really simple. So we've got the EMBDC here. Kemper County's got somebody. Clark County's got somebody. Newton County's got somebody. I think we need a 5-county area and have one economic development person.
For those areas.
Each county, regardless of their size, put up $250 million a year apiece. And let's get something. Look.
Because if it
Kemper-
goes to Newton, it helps Meridian. If it goes to Newton, it helps Meridian.
Quitman, Kemper, people choose where they live. Everybody drives to work now.
Yes.
I mean, there was not 1,000 people sitting around Columbus, Mississippi, waiting on an aluminum plant to open. Those people are moving there or driving there from here and everywhere else. So they're going to live in the school districts for the most part.
Right.
If they have children, that's going to decide where they live for all practical purposes. So if we get on the same page, it's like Kemper County I was about to say earlier. Kemper has the cheapest electricity. Well, a manufacturer looks at all those things when they're deciding where they're going to locate, because that's a cost that they have to figure in.
Correct.
And TVA electricity cuts off at Porterville. Well, electric mills, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the power is much cheaper there than it is here. And that's the only advantage that I can see that the Golden Triangle has over us here in Meridian.
Is they
because
can
they don't
offer-
have they've got a 4-lane, but they don't have an interstate, or they don't have the railroad system. They don't have the longest public runway. I mean, they don't have a lot of things that we've got.
Yeah.
And look, we've spent millions on infrastructure, on shovel-ready property out here in the industrial park.
Correct.
Okay, you can't tell me we can't get something here. Okay, you just can't tell me that. I'm not gonna believe that.
So you're ready to roll up the sleeves and go after this?
That's correct. And
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna promote the district. Okay, I'm gonna promote the district, and if something comes along and it's not even in my district, I'm gonna do my best to make something happen.
Yeah, for our area, we do need that.
That's right, and it could be in Billy Adam Calvert's district or Troy Smith's district or whoever's district. That don't mean that ain't my district. I'm not going to worry about that.
You'd be shocked how many times stuff like that, Odie.
Oh, yeah.
Behind closed doors, stuff like that. is said.
Tuesday night, I said, look, people say, well, that's not the representative's job. Some people have said to try to be involved in economic development and all that. As far as I'm concerned, it is, because you need to be promoting your area. That's your constituents. And I said it the other night. We need to start electing people that have a vested interest in our area. And what I mean by vested interest is, like myself, is already a job creator,
Right.
multi-business owner in our district. And so if we do that, I think we'll have a different outcome, different decision. Instead of worrying about the paycheck or the retirement or getting reelected, let's vote and elect somebody. Let's vote for change. My opponent's been in there for a couple decades, and the name's been on the ballot for half a century.
Right.
Okay, I don't care what your last name is. That's too long. We need a change.
Let me ask this: term limits. How do you feel about that?
I'm all for it.
What would you say the cap is on term limits? How many years would you say?
No more than 3 terms. 8 to 12 is plenty. And now, look, if somebody wants to move to a different office or come back home, run for something else, that's fine.
one thing.
What happens is people get in there and stay too long. And they don't realize, me and Odie were talking about it earlier, in this human nature, we get complacent. I get complacent in my own business. Been in business 20 years, and I'm generating my own check, and I get complacent. So just imagine what somebody working for somebody, whether it's a state or, a employee of mine. I mean, you get complacent with humans. That's part of our DNA. So you don't realize actually what's going on when you're living in your own bubble after you've been in there so long.
Kind of makes sense.
You don't know. Look, my opponent, most people that I'm going door to door, most people hadn't seen or heard from him in a decade. Okay? There's a problem.
There you go.
As far as I'm concerned. And look, I say this. All government elected officials work for me because I'm a taxpayer.
That's a strong point.
I mean, people say, well, they, don't work for you, or, have some sarcastic type answer. But no, sir, that's not it. I mean, you do work for me,
That's right. All the because I remember Biden saying that. I don't remember that guy that questioned him a few months back, and it was a big argument.
Well,
Well, Ben, as we get ready to bring in our next guest here, tell us why we need to vote for you. In closing, is what you think. And somebody that's never met you before and they're watching now, tell them why they should vote for you.
Well, I think that I'd bring a new perspective to the office by being in business. Having employees and being a job creator, I think, is a huge experience to have. When you go to making decisions on people's livelihoods, everybody works for somebody.
Correct.
I work for consumer. The people that work for me we all, it's a chain reaction. So we all work for somebody out here. You work for your listeners and also your advertisers. So we all work for somebody. And I think that we need a change and get back to just common sense basics. Get to work. I mean, elect somebody that's going to promote the district. It's going to be proactive, responsive, answer the phone, be involved in the community, which I have been for years. But I don't, put up a sign or put it on a billboard or call a TV station and say, let's do an interview, But we need to elect somebody that's going to be involved and know what's going on. I think would be a big plus in District 81.
All right, Ben Shirley, thank you for dropping in and talking with us this morning. Next Tuesday is when all that will happen. On the way, Chris McDaneil is standing by.
Yeah, hey, listen.
What's that?
Listen, be sure everybody gets out and votes.
Yeah.
Regardless who you vote for. Listen, get out and vote. Look, we've got around 3 million, I think, in the state of Mississippi, people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We need more than 30% turnout.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, I've been pushing that.
We do. Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate
Go vote
it.
Ben Shirley, August 8th, Republican primary. Thank you.
There you are. On the way, we're going to be hearing, as we said, from Chris, and we do hope that anybody got any bodyguards around here? I went to the Neshoba County Fair. We might need that, y'all. Up and coming, we'll talk with Chris. There's a lot to discuss with him this morning as we all make that decision. What's coming August the 8th. We'll be right back.
Our local headlines are brought to you by the Rock House Gun and Pawn.
Same old sound, and no one's answering. Vote for change. Vote Ben Shirley, District 81 representative, on August 8th. Ben will answer the phone. Ben will get answers in Jackson for District 81. Ben will create jobs and promote economic development for East Mississippi.
I'm Ben Shirley, and I'm asking for your vote in the August 8th Republican primary.
Vote Ben, District 81, August 8th. Paid for by Ben Shirley.
Your local farmer knows a good deal when he sees one. The L-Series Kubota tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA and offered at Parish Kubota with 0% financing available. Come see why we're more than a tractor store at Parish Tractor.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, day beds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
Welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. This is Odie. If we'd have had the right color, we'd almost had our little squares matching there.
I tell you, we were close to it. I don't even know why I picked this one.
Because your wife handed it to you. I know what happened. Look here. Look at the guests that we've got in here today. Chris McDaneil, how in the world are you today?
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Boy, I went to the Neshoba County Fair, and I ain't never. It was quite something. It was a lot of big turnout, hooping and hollering. And have you got security?
So I probably need security. Probably need a couple of people.
This is really, y'all, I don't know how to describe this as we get ready for Chris to head to the polls of the talk, everything around this. It's a lot of oomph going into this, a lot of arguing, name calling here and there. Yeah. What's your stance on all this, Chris?
Well, it's crazy. Bear in mind, the names all come from him. The personal attacks are all coming from him. We're talking about the issues. We talk about the fact that he appointed 13 Democrats to powerful chairmanships. We talk about the fact that he killed the income tax elimination bill. We talk about the fact that basically he's empowered Democrats and stopped conservative bills left and right for the last 4 years. And then at the end of that, he calls us personal names. Look, this is really simple, Scotty Ray. I've been asking for a debate with this guy for literally months. And if you stand in front of the state, side by side. There's no place to hide. You can't hide behind those nasty commercials. You can't hide behind those nasty push cards he's mailing to people. He can't defend his record, and that's why he won't debate. And so it's kind of like when you saw Hillary Clinton. Remember Hillary Clinton a few years ago running against Donald Trump, and she said, they're a bunch of deplorables.
I remember that.
Remember
Yeah.
It's the same thing there. He's acting like Hillary Clinton. He calls names, but he doesn't dare stand to defend his record, just like Hillary couldn't defend her record.
Boy, this is heating up as we get near this. If you were to lay this on paper, I want it because there's a lot of talk of what's a conservative, what's not a conservative. Define conservative for me, so that there's no gray areas of somebody going, well, this is what Chris stands for. Tell me what it is.
There's a general description and specific descriptions. You start with a general description. It's a conservative defends individual liberty at all cost. A conservative, if it had a slogan, would be "Leave us alone." That's what a conservative says to the government. It says to the government, listen, we can educate our children. We can take care of our own money. We don't need you dictating to us how to live our lives. But specifically, as to issue by issue things, it values patriotism. It values the individual as opposed to the collective. It believes that American traditions are worth defending, that American history is worth defending, because we got here based on those institutions and those traditions. So a conservative says if it worked at one point, it may work again until proven otherwise. So we try to conserve what's left of the old American ways, the culture, the tradition, the morality. And the modern Democrat Party is just the opposite. They're seeking to radically change all of those old ways. And so we find ourselves fighting for the culture, the very government of this society, what it means to be an American, essentially. So what we fight for are the old ways in many, many ways. And we fight for personal responsibility, self-reliance. And again, just to sum it all up in a slogan, just let us live our lives. Leave us alone.
Pretty strong statement there describing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. When you see America thrive at its best throughout the years, from a brand new country to what we were with manufacturing, with everybody took care of themselves, to where we are now, where did that change come from? And if you really look back over the history, that change didn't start that long ago. So look how long it took for America to be built up, and look at how short of a time it's taken for America to be broken down. And that conservative mindset, I think, is what we need to bring this back to where we once were.
Well, consider how radicalized it's become. There was a song that came out, I guess, a few weeks ago that made a lot of news last week.
Jason Aldean.
Yeah, I tried this in a small town or something along those lines. Now, I've read the lyrics. I've heard the song. And we should stand by every word of that. He's talking about tradition. He's talking about defending one another in these small towns. And yet the American left went ballistic. It goes to show we can't even read the same language anymore and come out with the same conclusions.
Well, you got, and I don't know names, so I can't toss a name out here. But as you look at that, there's other genders or genres of music that say ugly words, and no one's ever said a thing.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, don't do that in our hometown.
It's a matter of common sense, and conservatism is based in large part on common sense government. Now, bear in mind, the reason they get so angry, where we're predicated on defending America, they're predicated on tearing it all down. You think about what they've been arguing. Systemically, we're problematic, we're flawed. Systemically, the institutions are all racist and backwards. What they're really saying is they're trying to drive wedges between collectives and rip the system down. So we're trying to preserve that system because we know it's a great system. Look, America is the greatest country in the world's long history.
Amen.
And it's not even close. Yet these guys come along now, and all they want to do is rip it to shreds. And the problem we've got is it happened fast, Scotty Ray, because 20 years ago things were bad. But man, in the last 20 years, we barely recognized the country. If we don't stop the slide right now, in 20 years, we won't recognize any part of this country.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
And so what is this? What is the step? How do we halt the brakes? What do we do?
It's a combination of several factors. First, we want to get people more involved, but not just in government, in their communities. We need a revival, frankly. And, people always kind of scoff at religion, and they scoff at the idea that religion can change countries. But every cultural problem, every moral problem, if we don't fix it at that individual level, will eventually become a political problem. So the church has kind of receded into the fringes of society. The church needs to get a lot more involved. Now, from a governmental standpoint, we encourage the church's behavior, encourage its involvement. Then at the same time, we get government out of the way so people can thrive. And from the standpoint of what we do from a state perspective, Mississippi is one of the few places left where we can actually push back against the system. Texas, maybe. We're losing it.
But it's going quick.
It is. Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, only a few spots remaining. We better build a fortress here, maintain our traditions and principles here, and learn to push back against that federal government. If we do that, we make and right the system somewhat. I tell you what's not going to do it. Washington, D.C.
No.
Broken, incorrigible, they're not going to fix themselves. These states have to stand and be resilient and tell Biden no. Tell the federal government no.
As we were talking to Ben a minute ago, your job would be at a higher level there as we talk about this. On the state level, Lieutenant Governor, what can the Lieutenant Governor do to bring in jobs to where we get overlooked a lot? These major companies, like Huntsville has gotten a lot of these ammunition companies to come there and firearm companies. How did Mississippi miss out on this? How can we make them want to come here?
We have a fairly antiquated tax structure. Back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, the Democrats of the day were still very much progressive, economically speaking. One of the best ways to open up our market is to get rid of that income tax. Eliminate it. Get it out of here. What happens there, we become a magnet then for productivity. And we also have a lot more money to keep at the grassroots to spend and consume at that level. That creates economic activity at the grassroots level. That's how you bring jobs. Also, regulations. Remove a lot of these regulations and invite businesses in. What we don't want to do is to have government picking winners and losers. Create the environment for growth and let people come be productive. We don't need any more handouts in this state. We've got enough people sitting around taking things, with these handouts. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of the people out there taking advantage of the good people. Ultimately, we need jobs in this state. Jobs. We do that by creating the right environment for those jobs. And if we do that, Mississippi will prosper. But we have to revamp the tax code.
All right, coming up, we got more with Senator Chris McDaneil. Y'all, we only got a few days left to decide this.
We are getting down to this. This is it. Your studying should have already started, and you should be getting ready to fill your own test out to who you're going to
It is a
push
test.
forward. Yes, it is.
All right, we'll be right back more with Senator Chris McDaneil as we start this Thursday. Real close to Election Day.
Hi, I'm Chris Bullock, a candidate for District 1 Supervisor. I was born, raised, baptized, and married right here in Lauderdale County. I have a strong record of experience, dedication, and service to our law enforcement, business community, and education. It's time for a new generation of leadership. I humbly ask for your prayers and your vote on Tuesday, August 8th. Vote Chris Bullock on August 8th.
H&H Residential of Meridian is your #1 carpet and flooring store. If you've been thinking of a new look for your home or office, call for a free estimate or consultation. H&H can install or you can do it yourself. H&H has all of your design needs from color, style, and texture. If you can dream it, H&H can make it a reality. Come see the large selection of hardwood flooring, laminate, vinyl, and even carpet. H&H Residential of Meridian, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, 321 Hawkins Crossing Road. Call Rosemary anytime, 601-462-9541.
Steve Horn is your Christian conservative voice in Jackson. Born and raised in District 81, Steve Horn is the husband to the former Susie Coker. Steve is father to Lauren, Tommy, and Hunter Horn. Steve is also known as Pawpaw to his 3 grandchildren, Brooks, Ross, and Madeline, with a 4th, Melody Ann, on the way. Steve Horn is our pro-family, pro-life, and pro-liberty choice. On August the 8th, vote Republican. Vote Steve Horn.
Paid for by Steve Horn.
Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs, your local pharmacy and gift shop, thanks you for your continued support. Whether you shop with us in-store, through our app, over the phone, or in our drive-thru, our team will provide the best personalized customer service experience you expect from your local pharmacy. When you call or message us, you are promptly greeted by the Mr. Discount team that's ready to help. When you choose our pharmacy, you're choosing a locally owned pharmacy that cares about you and your community. Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs, makes a difference.
And welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. Odie is with us this morning. Our special guest running for Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Mississippi. I always wanted to say that.
Look at that. The great state of Mississippi.
I did. I like saying that. Chris McDaneil is with us here. And as we move forward, Chris has been taking your questions of what you're putting on here. And Odie, you wanted to ask him something that someone asked.
Yes, we've had a few come up. And I love the idea of kind of following along with Tennessee and Florida, where we don't have an income tax anymore. So now if we take that income tax out, there's now a void. And how do we fill that void without going up on property tax, or how do we fill that void for the American people?
Good
or
question.
For Mississippi people?
Good question. We won't have to raise any other taxes.
How we fix it?
That's a misunderstanding. About 10 years ago, we ran the state at about $4.6 billion in state revenue. So keep that number in mind, $4.6 billion. Now we're approaching $8 billion. That's almost double what it was just 10 years ago. So bear in mind, we delivered goods and services, all the expected resources of government just 10 years ago, at roughly half the cost. We have a lot of money right now, record revenue. Here's how you fix it without raising other taxes. What you do is you create somewhere between 4.6 and 8, a spending cap, a cap right there, and you index for inflation. And as the money begins to come in and exceeds that cap plus the 4% or whatever it is for inflation, it triggers. At that moment, you begin to phase out a fraction of the income tax. Next year, trigger hits again, you phase it out again. Trigger hits again, you phase it out again. It phases out slowly, or not even slowly, aggressively, but responsibly. No cuts have to be made, at least draconian cuts, and no additional taxes have to be raised. Now, as conservatives, we should remember this. People ask that question in defense of a big government. That's not what conservatives ask. That's our money. That's our money. It's not the government's money. Government will do fine. What about us? What about the people of this state that work their tails off every single day only to have a politician come in and steal your money and then give it to somebody else? We should be thinking about the individual, thinking about the blue-collar worker, thinking about Mississippians that need their paychecks back. When did we become so preoccupied and obsessed about government? Reagan talked about cutting government. When was the last time you heard that conversation in Mississippi? Of course government should be cut. There's fraud, waste, and abuse in every single department of the apparatus.
But you tell me this, because I see this on local levels. You go to talking about cutting back, you start losing friends quickly because somebody's buddy is making something here and there. How do you fix that? Because it's got to be bad in Jackson. It's got to be rough.
It's that good old boy system that's killing this country. You know, we're so concerned about hurting somebody's feelings. We're $32 trillion in debt nationally, with about $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities on the way. The experiment is ending because we're so concerned about the donor class and the political good old boy club. I want to be clear. I don't like the good old boy club. I'm not even a big fan of many politicians. I have seen these backroom deals. I've seen them sell you out time and time and time again for a steak dinner. I am sick of it. So look, we got to change the way we look at things. If you want to save this country, you got to get rid of this political class. They're darn near running this nation. And that's from Washington all the way down to Jackson. Something's got to change. They are killing this country.
Well, you know, I talked to someone else not long ago who's a senator, and he had a great plan, and he brought it forth, and then by the time it made it there, it had like 6 additions that had nothing to do with what it started. How do we start this? Is there a way to make line item voting to where we do away with all these tack on? Can we really do that, or is that just a myth?
You can, but it be done through leadership. In other words, the LG could insist upon some of these bills being more clean than they are, because what happens is it goes through the process that good old boys club gets involved. I'll give you an example. There may be a bond project for something very worthwhile. Mm-hmm. By the time that bond project reaches the end of the session, people are building walking trails and splash pads. Now look, I'm not against walking trails and splash pads, but you got to prioritize the spending, for goodness sakes. If you have sewers that are failing and water systems that are failing, you don't need a splash pad.
I agree with that.
You need to fix the sewers and the splash system. But remember, politicians like those splash pads because they can pose in front of it and campaign in front of it.
And say, look what I done.
Exactly. Nobody ever poses in front of a sewer pipe, even though that's the most that's the most important thing we could have, right?
That's a good point, Chris.
That's why you can't trust politicians to govern this country. They're motivated by all the wrong impulses, which usually is just re-election at all costs, and so they misspend or get the wrong priority in spending. So look, we got to make cuts, and we have to be responsible with the taxpayers' money. Here's the reason for that. It's not the government's money. Government doesn't have a money tree. This is our money. They're
out your paycheck each week.
They sure do.
I mean, and you know, there's a lot of folks, and I hear this a lot. You work overtime, and you make, let's say you make an extra $1,000 that week. How much of that do you really get to take home?
Your tax bill just shot way up.
You get a Christmas bonus from your employer, and you may do you even get 50% anymore of that? Isn't it like a 50% tax on a bonus?
It's absurd. Meanwhile, we're buying free cell phones for people. I mean, the whole system's gotten absolutely absurd, and people have to begin to say that. Will it hurt some feelings? Yeah, but I'm tired of the people.
It's kind of like tough love, isn't it?
It's a lot like tough love. And, you know, the producing class in this country, people work their tails off every day. Government takes it, steals it, and gives it to other people who aren't working at all. That system's not just. That's not fair. And we're not suggesting there not be some social safety net, but let's not kid ourselves. People are abusing the system.
Yeah, they learn how it works, and they use it to their advantage to where they have to do less.
Absolutely.
You know, I always think of Aaron Tippin. I got it honest. That's kind of the working man. That's what he's out there. Works hard for what he does.
That's right. And we were talking about income tax, and that made a lot of sense. It took us a little while to get to where we are with the taxes being raised little at a time, and you can't just say, okay, no more tax. You have to have that plan to bring that tax down, and I like that. So the next one that's a big topic is, and I see people at the register all the time, and they've got steak and hamburger and shrimp and all this stuff, and here I am with one steak that I can cut in half for me and the wife, and some ham and some bread, because taxes is another thing on our food that hurts the regular working class people. So are you for reducing to elimination of the grocery tax? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Mississippi is one of only 3 states that still imposes a full...
3?
One of 3 that still imposes a full grocery tax.
Man.
And look, you know, how crazy is this? We're one of the most impoverished states, and you're literally punishing people for buying necessities. The poor, the working class, they should not be punished for buying necessities. There shouldn't be any taxation on groceries whatsoever. And we have to work to get to that point. We have to.
I agree with that a lot. We got more coming up with Chris, some more questions. Y'all, if you've got a question for Chris, make sure to post that. We're going to ask him. More on the way with Scotty Ray and Odie as we start this Thursday for you. Will Parker's your local lawyer located here in Meridian. If you've been in an auto accident, see Will and get the help you deserve. Will explain your rights. Call or go online at parkerfirm.net. Will Parker, your local lawyer, 2110 Front Street, Meridian.
Steve Horn is your principled conservative voice in Jackson. Steve was born and raised in District 81. Steve Horn is pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-tax cuts, and pro-liberty. Steve has always believed the answer is better government, not more government. Your voice in Jackson is not for sale with Steve Horn as your representative. Steve has always stood his ground and has never compromised the voice of the hardworking people of District 81. On August 8th, vote Republican. Vote Steve Horn. Paid for by Steve Horn.
Bring on long days, sweltering heat, and acres that just won't end. Exmark mowers were born to deliver legendary reliability, signature cut quality, and stubborn durability that refuses to give in. Because like you, Exmark mowers were built for this. Visit your local dealer or explore an Exmark online for special finance offers available now.
I'm Devin Snowden, Republican candidate for District 1 Supervisor, Lauderdale County. I'm 6th generation Snowden to call this home. This is where I'm raising my family, where I work and serve the landowners of this area, and where we play. I want Lauderdale County to continue to call home. If elected, I'll do my best to make Lauderdale County its best. Please vote for me, Devin Snowden, on August 8th, and remember, I'm not just any candidate, I'm your neighbor.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Devin Snowden.
Need an expert to repair a rock peck or cracked windshield? Call Advanced Auto Glass by Joey for quality workmanship and customer service. Convenient same-day service, as well as in-house calibration for vehicle safety systems. Reliable mobile service is available in Clark, Kemper, Neshoba, Lauderdale, and Newton counties for all cars, trucks, and heavy equipment. Book your appointment today for custom tinting. It can reduce temps, fading, glare, and more. Improve the safety and enhance the appearance of your vehicle today with services from Advanced Auto Glass by Joey.
Hello, I'm Billy Solly, and for almost 3 decades I have served as your sheriff of Lauderdale County. I have chosen to retire, and it's time for you, the voters, to select my successor. On August 8th, I'm asking you to please go to the polls and vote for Ward Calhoun as your next sheriff.
Thank you for your endorsement, Sheriff Solly. and I'm asking for your vote humbly to serve as your next sheriff. Please vote Ward Calhoun on Tuesday, August 8th in Republican primaries.
As we continue this conversation with Chris, and boy, it's always fun to talk to Chris and go inside his mind of what's going on. I think you relate to a lot of people. There's without a doubt.
Yeah.
And Odie, as I put this to you, I hear a lot of people, they talk about religion and putting God back in school. Can that really be done in today's time of what we're facing? Can that go before the House, the Senate, Mississippi, and get prayer ever back in our schools? Can that happen?
It can. I had a bill a few years ago introduced that actually laid the way to get prayer back in schools. And if we follow it, we can get there. But something perhaps more importantly, you know how we passed a few years ago that law effectively challenging Roe versus Wade?
Yes.
Same principle applies here. That school prayer case was 1952. And it had a very liberal Supreme Court at that time. We have a pretty conservative Supreme Court now. We have a 6-3 split, at least a 5-4 split. We should probably test that theory again. There's absolutely nothing wrong with prayer in school. We fell for that lie, hook, line, and sinker, because they used a line from Thomas Jefferson's letter to the Danbury Baptist, the separation of church and state. That phrase is not in the Constitution.
How can people sue coaches that are at our schools that have a prayer with their football?
It's absurd.
How can politicians vote for that?
It's absurd. It's a misinterpretation of existing Supreme Court law. Look, here's the bottom line. If anybody out there listening, if you ever get sued for praying at school, you call me. I'll defend you free of charge.
Get out of here.
Free of charge. If you're a coach and you want to pray with your players, you pray with your players, and I will defend you free of charge. The idea that we can just lay down and let these people kick us around because we're afraid, those days have to end. We have to fight. We have to fight in the courtrooms. We have to fight in the legislatures. Everywhere they push, we have to push back harder. They've changed this country where we barely even recognize it, and so we're afraid to pray with our football teams. Put that aside. Pray with your football teams. Live your life.
How do we get back? And I'm not sure how I'm going to ask this. How do we get back to what I think most of us that are sitting in this room now? We got a room full of the family. It's almost that America rewards for parents being, or the state of Mississippi does, for being divorced.
And not to get married.
I even know of elderly couples that won't get married because they can't afford sometimes to be married. I've heard that being said.
When government incentivizes people to stay single, they're incentivizing additional poverty. A stable family household is the best way to get children and people out of poverty. Every study has shown that. And one of the biggest problems we got are fatherless households.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of men out there, and they're having babies, but they're not being daddies. And that
not stepping up to the plate.
They're not stepping up to the plate, and so that child is at a unique disadvantage at that stage, economically, socially, every way. And the government, to incentivize that, is part of the problem. Lyndon Johnson and his Great Society, passed in '64, has turned out to be a disaster. Trillions spent on this so-called war on poverty, but the one thing that's remained pretty much constant is the number of people who are in poverty. Except now, we've broken down the family unit to where it barely exists. We need to stop trying at Lyndon Johnson's way and try at Barry Goldwater or Ronald Reagan's way for a change. We'll see some change at that stage.
And somebody put up there, give tax breaks to families. I kind of...
Yeah.
If you're out there and everybody knows, you get up every morning, you put on your clothes, you head out that door. On the way in, you think, well, I need a cup of coffee, I need a drink. You stop there, you're taxed on that. Well, I need $10 to get to work in my tank. You're taxed on that. Everywhere you go, your paycheck never stops of being taxed. We got to do something here.
I read once in Mississippi, there are roughly about 130 either fees or taxes on various things. Guys, that's absurd. I mean, we used to be free people in this society. And if you can't be economically free, if you can't retain the fruits of your labor, how can you claim to be actually free? I'm not suggesting a completely tax-free society. I realize there has to be roads and bridges. That's
right.
That's important. But when you're literally stealing from one person just to redistribute that income to someone else, that's an unjust system.
And I think everybody would agree. You get to a point to where you're working, you're not gaining anything, and you finally go, why am I doing this? It breaks the American dream, in my opinion, to a degree. I could be wrong, y'all.
Well, when the food stamp program was started, and I know that sometimes people do need a
helping hand
up and all that. The food stamp program was started. and you went and signed up and say you qualified for $400, you didn't get just $400 to go spend. It cost you $200 to get that. Food stamp was not meant to buy everything for you to eat with no cost out of your pocket. It was meant for you to help make your grocery budget go farther. So if you qualified for $400, you had to pay $200 to get that $400.
Okay.
And now we've gone away from the way it was designed to now it's just,
how much
hey,
do we
here's the
spend
money.
on that, Chris? How much is that a year that we put out on food stamps? Do you know?
That's a good question. I'd have to look at the federal numbers there because a lot of that is subsidized via the federal government.
And again, I don't think anybody in this room would ever say do away with that because there are families that need it.
Right.
But it needs to probably be looked at and regulated. Everything needs to be checked every once in a while.
You have to, absolutely. You know, it's one thing. Obviously, we're not desiring the end of the social safety net. We're just saying it should not be abused because when it's abused, you are depriving people that really need it of their resources, and you're depriving the taxpayers of their money, and that's not a fair system.
And I've heard of, and I'm sure everybody watching this have known some people that truly needed a little help for a few months and couldn't get it.
Yeah,
either
right.
you couldn't sign up, you didn't meet this, and you go, how can this be when somebody else? I don't quite understand it.
It's almost impossible to understand, but such is the nature of government. Government is always incomprehensible. It always makes mistakes. Reagan once said the government is not the solution to the problem, it is the problem. We got away from that at some point. I'm not sure why, but government doesn't do a lot of things very well at all.
We'll be right back. More coming up with Chris McDaneil on this Thursday morning. Great interview. We're enjoying this. We'll be right back.
Your next Maytag or Whirlpool appliance is waiting on you at All Temp Appliance and Refrigeration on Highway 19 North. If you've been trying to locate a freezer, stop by and see their big selection of upright and chest freezers, a showroom full of stoves, gas, and electric. Maybe it's a new refrigerator from large double doors to the simplest of refrigerators. Name brand washers and dryers like Speed Queen and Amana. And delivery is available with a great service department to back up what they sell. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and by appointment after hours and weekends.
Summertime has arrived, and Freeman Tractor on Highway 494 has the exact lawnmower for your need. If you've got a big yard with acres and acres to mow, they have a mower for that. No matter the size yard you have, Freeman Tractor has the lawnmower that fits you and your budget. From 48-inch all the way up to 60, or the X-Mark lawnmower. Plenty of these to choose from. Also, they carry a complete line of LS tractors. Come by for a test drive today. Financing available. Drop in today to Freeman Tractor, Highway 494, see coleslaw or buttermilk.
Hello, I am Justin J.J. Anders, and I'm running for Lauderdale County District 1 Supervisor. Many of you may know me from the UPS store, which I owned and operated for over 13 years. I'm a family man and a businessman. The Board of Supervisors is the business board of Lauderdale County. I have the business background and experience needed to be a valued member of this board. I am financially conservative and believe we should live within our means. I'm Justin J.J. Anders, and I'm asking for your vote for Lauderdale County District 1 Supervisor.
I'm Kenneth Graham, and I want to be your coroner in Lauderdale County. The job of coroner is primarily about death investigation. In my experience, families and loved ones want the truth. With my training, experience, and background as an investigator, I am the best person for this job. You only get one chance when investigating a death, and this job must be done right. So please vote for me, Kenneth Graham, coroner, Lauderdale County.
Welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. This is Odie as we begin this Thursday. We really urge each Mississippian that is watching this morning to study up. We've got tomorrow, business days, 3 business days left, 5 days until the election. Make sure that your vote counts. We can't do anything by ourselves, but as a group of what we believe in, can make a difference in the state of Mississippi. And whatever that belief is, go for that. Make sure that it's a well thought out process. You just don't check a name just because, well, you don't know what your third cousin liked it. Know what they're voting for because it could hurt you later. Yeah. Chris, I've seen a lot of mailers coming in the mailboxes. There's some things been said about you.
Well, it makes great, when winter comes, I'm going to save those mailers and I'm going to light my fires with them. I'm going to burn it. It makes great kindling. It's funny. Some of that stuff is really almost unbelievable. My poor children, they used to love to check the mail. Now they don't like to check the mail anymore because, Daddy's ugly picture's in there and he's being accused of all these things. I would suggest to people that You know, when a politician like Delbert Hosemann attacks like that, I would suggest he has an awful lot to hide. You have to do your research. You can't just believe those attack ads. They're all absolutely untrue. They even argued that we had a bill that basically was designed to get some of these bad, obscene materials out of libraries. And he went on TV and said, I did not vote for that bill. Check the public record. I voted twice for it. It's in black and white. We've reached wacky season here. He will say anything to get elected. And all you have to do, if you'll take just a little time and go look at the record, you'll see I voted for every one of those bills.
All right, I have to ask this because
absolutely.
I know how wives sometimes get bent out of shape. Because it's got to be some, of all the things that have been said about Chris McDaneil, you're sitting Saturday morning and your wife opens the mailbox or reads something on that. What is the one thing that set her off? She goes, this ain't true and I want to fix it.
It used to be.
Be?
You know, it's funny. There was a time it was a lot worse than it is now. Now they all just kind of say, again. I'll give you an example. So a couple of years ago, I'm running, and there's a really nasty ad on TV. I walk in one evening after work, and my son, he's much younger then, he's crying. He's literally watching the TV crying. I said, what are you doing? He goes, Daddy, the TV. I said, what? He goes, it says we can't count on you. And I said, turn that mess off right now. And
That's got to be tough as a dad.
It is, because you know they're going to lie. And you know it's going to be, it's like, look, to those professional political players, this is all a game. They'll tear my life to pieces and have a blast with it, knowing they're lying about everything else. And here's the worst part. If the people don't educate themselves, they believe that nonsense. And so they're sitting back right now tearing my life to pieces, and it's all an absolute lie. And that's why you won't debate.
You may be the most talked about subject in the great state of Mississippi.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, it does
that's good or bad.
better name recognition.
Well, fair enough. And a lot of negative energy.
But we got to have the truth come out, too.
Absolutely.
But, and when this even happens here, I have spoke to politicians, I won't name names, but they'll look you in the eye, not blink an eye with telling you what you fib.
Oh, man.
And, I will know I've got it in front of me, the real truth. But what makes somebody, what turns somebody? Is it being in office too long, or is it just their nature that causes politicians to go left of where they need to be?
One of the reasons government has to be limited is because it's a magnet. And I say this sincerely, it's a magnet to pathological personalities. Politicians, many of which have these massive bloated egos. And really what they're looking for is power and popularity. They're looking for the praise of other men and women. And so what you do is they're easily corruptible, because once they have this massive ego, they'll do anything to maintain that office or maintain that position, which is why they're so corruptible. Remember, people who crave power to that extent, they are pathological. And so they get to these positions of authority and they'll do anything to hold on to it, which only adds to the pathology. It only adds to their sickness. That's the problem. And that's why government should always be limited, because you can't trust those personalities.
Did you ever watch, and it was a TV show, and they took him off of House of Cards? Did you ever watch that?
Oh, man.
The guy that Kevin Spacey, and his role toward the presidency, of what he would do to get there.
Absolutely. And there's so much truth to that madness. If you don't think that's true, watch the Clinton family over the years, right? Watch the Biden family over the years. These people will lie, cheat, steal, do whatever they have to do to maintain power. And that's why you can't trust government, because it's run by men and women who are, in many instances, not all, but in many instances, pathologically problematic.
Is there a such thing, and I know you bound to watch because it's one of my favorite TV shows, is there a such thing as a Mr. Smith that goes to Washington? Does Mr. Smith still exist in America today?
They do. It's very rare. I know of a couple, even in the state Senate. There's a lady that I serve with. Her name is Kathy Chisholm. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you about Kathy. She's from a small part of the state, a rural part of the state. And she's my desk mate. And I've seen a lot of senators come in there, and I've had a lot of good ones, or a handful of good ones, but her heart is so pure in that regard. She's not there to acquire power. She's not there to try to advance. She prays before her votes, and she seeks the will of God, and then once she finds it, nothing shakes her. Yeah, so do they exist? They do. It's just they're terribly outnumbered.
I'd say the outnumbered that is there.
Yeah.
Isn't there a show on Fox that used to be called Outnumbered or something?
Well, yeah. Wait, Fox, who's that? Oh, yeah.
I quit watching them.
I've heard of them before.
Gone with the wind, as we might say. Chris, as we get ready to conclude the show this morning, as Mississippians are watching you, they're at home drinking coffee, they've made it to work at this point. Tell us why they need to vote for you come Tuesday. What is different from you than anybody else that's ran or running now? Why should they cast that vote for you?
You know, I'm going to fight for my beliefs and your beliefs. It's just that simple. I have, for the last 16 years, sacrificed every one of my personal ambitions to fight for the principles that I believe in. I've been punished by the establishment. I've been ostracized. I've been ridiculed. They've called me everything but a child of God over the last 20 years. But it's worth it for the fight. If you've seen Donald Trump, what he's had to go through, it's like that, but on a slightly smaller level. It hurts still the same. But every time I've taken a stand, it's always been with conservatives in mind, with hardworking blue-collar Mississippians in mind, because that's where I'm from. And because of that, I'm not well received in Jackson. I'm not well received in Washington. I'm okay with that. I'm going to fight for these principles until the day I die. Now, with that being said, I'm not sure what the next few days brings me. This could be a hello again or goodbye for now. Because in many ways, if I've given up my Senate seat now to run for this, and this could be, for a while, the end of my ability to fight for you all. But I won't stop, ever. If I'm not successful on the 8th, which I do believe I'm going to be successful, but if I'm not, and that's not in God's will, I'm going to get up on the 9th, and I'm going to still fight the best way I know how for these principles, because I know they work. I know my children deserve my best efforts, and I think your children deserve my best efforts. And I can't sleep on the fact that we're about to lose this country. And I want my kids to have a good country.
Yep. America, Mississippi is worth fighting for. We can't thank everybody for joining us this morning enough. It has been so much fun. We are days away from this election. In Mississippi, we urge you, you've heard Ben talk to us this morning. You've heard Chris come in and talk with us. We want you to cast that vote. What does your family stand for? What are your values? What do you want? If Chris is it, vote for him. If it's not, then you need to vote for the other guy. It is America, your decision. And we will get a report card coming up. How'd you word it a while ago?
This is time to take a test, and are we going to pass or are we going to fail? But the thing is, you are a member of this society, and if you want to make our city, our county, our state, our country the best it can be, it takes you to take just a little bit of time out of your day to go vote. Look across the world. We're the greatest country.
Oh, we are.
There are so many places across this world that people die to go vote, and literally die to go vote because they can't. We've got it. But it takes you to get up, go vote, make your voice heard. Let's take this country back. Let's take this state back. And let's leave something great for our grandkids and great-grandkids.
Chris, as we put the camera back on you, we want to say thank you for coming in here. It's been a hoot.
It's been good, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I look forward to seeing you again one day for sure.
We need an invite to the Capitol once you get there.
That's
yes,
right.
sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. You got it.
We want to say thank you so much for everybody joining us this morning. We're coming back again tomorrow. God bless each and every one of y'all. And from the bottom of my heart, I do something that is different in this town. I do something that is different in this state. There's probably no one that does headlines and weather like I do. And I can't thank, from the bottom of my heart, each and every one of y'all supporting me. The advertisers, to the family members that watch me each and every day. Thank y'all so much.
You know, we've had a little stumble, but it wasn't. It was God's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because God's got a plan, and we're going to be right there with it. But we want y'all to come back and be with us in 23 hours when we come back. It's Friday. It's here. We couldn't do it without you. We love you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: